These two are the latest gimbals from Hohem, the M6 and the MT2. And many of you guys using smartphones with your gimbals have asked me whether you should ditch your M6 and upgrade to the MT2 or forget about the M6 and buy the more expensive MT2 altogether. And to help out, I leave a 15% discount coupon in the video description in case that you want to go for either one of them. I'm gonna start with the things that these two gimbals do exactly the same, because they don't just share the ergonomics. A lot of the things that you do with a smartphone are exactly the same on both gimbals. Both have a battery life that is around 17 or 18 hours. So there is no real difference between one and the other. Both have reverse charging so that you can recharge your phone if you realize that you're running out of battery. And the jog wheel is placed exactly in the same place and it has the same functionality. And as you can imagine, there is absolutely no restriction of movement whatsoever on either one of these two. You can do up and down shots, down and up, left and right. You have no restrictions of movement whatsoever. You can attach the gimbal to a monopod to do crane shots. The layout is exactly the same. The buttons are in the same place. And the app integration, it's again exactly the same. There is no difference using the app with one gimbal over the other, except for the fact that the MT2 has additional features because it's a gimbal targeted for larger cameras. You can control the gimbal remotely if you have another phone, and you can do adjustments on the gimbal itself that on the M6 you don't have. Does this affect the operation when you're using a smartphone? Absolutely not. It really makes no difference whatsoever. I am almost convinced that this is a feature that most people will never use. Both these gimbals come with an AI tracker. Well, if you buy the version that comes with the AI tracker, you can literally switch from one gimbal to the next. You're not gonna have any change in functionality or operation. They are exactly the same tracker and they will behave exactly the same. Both have the same OLED screen, the same size, the same operational menus. The MT2 gives you a couple of additional options because it's designed for larger cameras, but essentially it's exactly the same. You're not gonna notice any difference whatsoever. And when it comes to time lapse and motion lapse, you do your settings on the app itself, and you can then do the time lapse or the motion lapse within the Hohem Joy app or your preferred third-party app. Another thing that is exactly the same on these two gimbals is vlogging, because you tap 3 times on the reset button and the gimbal will spin around, and you can then vlog with your rear lenses, which are the lenses that I always recommend everybody to use because the difference in quality is astronomical. And on top of that, you can also add lenses and filters to make the image even better. And for motion lapse, both gimbals have the buttons on the side of the gimbal so that you can set that manually and record your motion lapse or tracking shots on your third-party app, whichever you prefer. So in that regard, again, both these gimbals are exactly the same. And lastly, when it comes to similarities, the LED light on the actual tracker, again, it behaves exactly the same on both gimbals. You control it exactly the same through the jog wheel. But bottom line is, how good is the stability? Are there any difference on the stability between the MT2 and the M6? Because that would definitely be a very important deciding factor. And what about the differences? Because even though these two gimbals look and feel very similar, they couldn't be more different. The first thing is payload, okay? Now, the M6 has a advertised payload of 400 grams. The MT2 is 1.2 kilos. That's a big difference, but rightly so, because the MT2 is designed for compact mirrorless cameras. So essentially, the motors are stronger and the components inside have been upgraded to cope with that additional payload compared to the M6 at 400 grams dealing only with a smartphone. Saying all of that, the M6 can handle more than 400 grams as I showed you in my review of the M6, and feel free to watch it when you finish watching this video. One thing that I really like about the M6 is how easy and quick it is to mount the phone, because the mount is fairly wide and the phone slides really easy. So if you're looking for a speed, the M6 is always going to be the winner. The MT2 is a bit more complex. It comes with its own smartphone mount. The advantage of the MT2 over the M6 is that because it has a higher payload and more adjustments to refine the balancing, you can mount the phone upright or upside down. And this is really helpful if you want to record sound on board on the actual phone, because it's really difficult to do it on the M6 because when you attach a cable at the base of the phone, there is no clearance, so the phone is sticking out and that affects the balancing. With MT2, you don't have to worry about that because you mount the phone upside down and the port is in the clear and it doesn't affect the balancing. Personally, I've been using some Boya wireless microphones for my smartphone and they work really nice. But the one thing that surprised me about the M6 is that even with the Boya wireless microphone and a telephoto lens and a variable ND, it was still able to balance it, which I think is incredible. And I was not expecting that. The adjustments for balancing are much greater on the MT2 and you are able to get the perfect balancing regardless of whatever cage or payload you mount on the phone. You can even mount a sunshade on the phone and it will take it, which is something that on the M6 you really cannot. So essentially this comes down to what type of filming you do, what type of style of filming you do, what it is that you want out of a gimbal. In terms of mounting points for accessories, both gimbals give you 3 mounting points. The M6 gives you 3 1/4-inch threads on different points of the gimbal. The MT2 gives you 2 1/4-inch threads and 1 cold shoe mount on the actual smartphone mount.
This is the area where I think the M6 is a bit of a letdown, okay? Because this is a very common situation. You finish your filming and you break up, you take things away, and what you want is you want to pack your gimbal away and put it in your camera bag. You want to lock all the motors and do it safely. Now, this gimbal has theoretically a pan lock, which works really well, and then you have a roll lock, okay? And obviously there is no tilt lock, okay? That's a bit of a shame. But I've used it so much that this thing just won't hold position, you know, I mean, it's just, you know, it's gone. I know many of you guys have bought the M6 following my reviews and video comparisons with other gimbals, so if this is something that you are also experiencing, please let me know in the comments below, because I know for a fact that Hohem reads the comments. With the MT2, you have no problem whatsoever. The locks work really nice and you can pack it away in no time, and it's just a pleasure. So this is an aspect of the gimbal that at the beginning I thought I would be just about okay, and obviously if that is the only option I have, I would be okay. But if you give me to choose between a gimbal that locks the motors and a gimbal that doesn't, the locking of the motors is really important.
A couple of other things that the MT2 has that the M6 doesn't is, for instance, it comes with a little magnetic screwdriver, which is really helpful if you need to adjust things on location. And obviously you got markings on the different axes to make sure that you slide the plate correctly in case that you need to move around, so that it's really easy to get the same spot time and time again. With the M6, this is something that you don't need to worry about because you clamp the phone and you slide it to the base and that's it. But if you want that additional functionality, additional settings and payload, obviously the MT2 is the way to go because it's gonna give you so much more options and balancing flexibility. And another thing that these two gimbals are very different is on the vertical filming. Okay, now you can do vertical filming in these two gimbals, and believe it or not, you can do this sort of on-the-go adjustment to go from horizontal to vertical on both gimbals. Also on the MT2, I thought the MT2 wouldn't do it, but it actually does it. If you are someone that does vertical filming all the time, the MT2 will give you a lot more options because of the payload. You can mount the phone with lenses, with filters, you can mount it upside down. You can do exactly the same that you do horizontal, you can do it vertically.
So that's it, look. You know, that's something that you are not gonna get with the M6 or pretty much with any gimbal out there. I mean, this is really, really good.
You can do exactly the same thing with the M6. Now, the difference with this is that to do that, you need to position the phone in a way that may not give you the perfect balance. If you use a phone with maybe a filter or no filters, just the phone, I think the M6 is all you need. But if you are the type of person that likes to add lenses, filters, and some other accessories, I think the MT2 is gonna give you a lot more options. The question you need to ask yourself is, are these things that I just mentioned to you worth spending an extra $100? Roughly, give and take. Because for some people, that will be an investment worth doing. For other people, it's not. And I'm not here to tell you that you should buy the MT2 over the M6 or the M6 over the MT2. That's not what I can do, because I don't know you, I don't know your filming style, I don't know your needs, what you require a gimbal to do. Do you do any client work? Is it just you on your own as a one-man band doing social media shots, even photography? If you are someone that uses a smartphone and also a compact camera and you switch from one to the other, the MT2 is the way to go. Again, only you can answer that question. A ver, vas a ser mi asistente.
This song is my favorite.
Is your favorite? What do you like about it, Sammy?
Control this.
The control? But look, you have control here as well. Be careful, eh? This is not a toy. This is not a Lego. Mira, lo abrimos y ahora mira. Is that cool or not?
Yeah.
You like that? And if you want to watch my review of the MT2 to find out whether this is the right gimbal for you or not, I'll leave it down here. I think you're going to find it really interesting. And if you ever wonder whether you even need a gimbal in the first place and whether you can do most of the shots that you want to do handheld or not, I'll leave this video up here. I think you're going to find it really helpful and entertaining. So click on any of them and I'll see you there.